We're back at my demonstration garden at Waterman Farm. I grow my vegetables in a method that has been used for hundreds of years. We're talking raised beds on Extension Today.
Extension Today is sponsored by the Ohio State University College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences.
I love growing vegetables in raised beds because it has a whole bunch of benefits with only a couple tiny distractions. Benefit one is when you have a raised bed, you get to concentrate all of your inputs in that space. I put all my work in this space, all my watering in this space, all my weeding in this space, and this is where I fertilize. That means I have less work to do in my vegetable gardening. I also like to make sure that when I am working in a raised bed, I follow the number one rule of raised beds, and that is you never ever step in them. What that does is that lets the soil stay uncompacted. And when you have an uncompacted soil with great soil tilth, that lets all the plants develop their strongest, most hardy root system. That allows them to maximize production over time. Remember, plants get all of their nutrients, their water and oxygen from the soil, so a healthy root volume allows them to maximize their growth. I also like to make sure that my raised beds are no wider than 4 feet, because that is as far as you can reach without feeling like you got to step in the middle. If I'm working with youth, maybe I'm at a school, I'm doing a church garden, I want to make sure that those kids can garden without them stepping in it, which they kind of do anyhow, but I'm going to make my raised beds around 3 feet wide. And that way I know their little arms can reach to the middle, they can do a harvest, they can grab a weed, and they're not going to be feeling like they need to step in it and maybe crush some plants or squish that soil. One important thing to realize about raised beds is it's actually a technique. So I have a form here, and that allowed me to get about 6-8 inches off the ground, and that's a common way for people to either beautify the space or get a larger soil volume. But when raised beds were first used for agriculture hundreds of years ago, they just mounded that soil up about 3 inches or so tall. What that does is it allows that soil to warm up faster in the spring. It allows that soil to drain faster if we get tons and tons of rain. That gets that soil ready to plant a little bit earlier. It's going to be several degrees warmer in this soil than it's going to be at other places on the farm. One of the best things about raised beds is if you have accessibility challenges, you can modify the raised bed, give it a little bit more height, maybe bring it up to 24, 26, or 28 inches, fill it with soil, and then you don't have to stoop or bend over. You can still garden and get all of the health benefits of growing your own fresh, healthy vegetables. So if you're thinking about adding a raised bed for you to garden in, there's a few things that you want to keep in mind to make it easier on yourself. One, if you're growing fruits, vegetables, and herbs, they need as much sun as you can get. Ideally, you want to have a south face. You want the sun right in your face, comes up in the east, tracks over to the west, and that bathes these vegetables in full sun. Make sure you are close to your water source, because raised beds, especially in the summer, with those thirsty summer vegetables, warmer weather, these drain faster, maybe dry out a little faster. Hauling water is going to get really old really fast. You can build raised beds out of untreated wood. What I recommend you would do is treat it with a food-grade linseed oil. That'll give you several more years of protection. I don't recommend that you build raised beds out of things like a railroad tie or treated wood that might have some chemicals that could leach into the soil in the surrounding soil where you're going to have your vegetables in harvest. But keep in mind this, raised beds are a concept. You don't actually need to build a form. If you have decent soil there, you just need a garden rake so you can shape your raised bed about 2 or 3 inches tall, and then practice raised bed technique, and you are going to have a successful harvest. So you just built yourself some new raised beds and you need to fill them with soil. Make sure you do the math when you do that. If you built a 4x8 raised bed that's 12 inches tall, that is 32 cubic feet of soil. That is more than a cubic yard. It can get really expensive really fast. I recommend, though, that you fill it with the best soil product that can fit in your budget. You'll thank yourself if you don't have to deal with weeds or bugs or rocks right off the bat. For more information on building your own raised bed to maximize your vegetable harvest, head to go.osu.edu/Extension Today.
Extension Today is sponsored by the Ohio State University College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences.